I was scrolling through Tate's Twitter and all of a sudden I just saw this tweet. It was like, they hate Muslims because our faith in God doesn't let them poison our minds. And then I kept seeing this. I'm just like, he's always saying they. I'm like, who the heck are they, bro? I realize I do the same, like even now for me. So it's like some people say they are like the Rothschild or like the Rockefellers. Some people even say it's like the Jews. But you know what? Bro, it doesn't matter who they actually are, because whoever they are, they're basically using the same tactics to control the people. Because people, they all have certain buttons in their head, and if you just come and like you press these buttons, you're able to control them. So forget who they are. Just know exactly how are they controlling? How are they pressing the buttons in your head to actually get a control of you? And by the way, like the reason why Tate is saying like they hate Muslims because of their faith and stuff like that is just because if you're like a true Muslim, like you actually follow the teachings of Islam, you would know that those same buttons, you're pretty much immune from them. Now, obviously, not all Muslims are like that because not all of them actually follow the teachings. But if you do follow it, you'll actually become immune to the buttons. So whoever they actually are, you'll be immune to them. But that's not this video's topic. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 things that these elites use to control us. So basically 3 buttons that they always press to actually control us. And what's funny is that when you actually get awareness of what these 3 buttons are, first of all, you become immune to it, but also you'll be able to use it in your own marketing. So then you actually get to press these same buttons and even at the same time make more money with it. But like I'm saying, like ethically, like in a good way, where it's actually helping people, not ruining people. But trust me, like once you actually know how to control people, like money is not that hard. So anyway, so the first principle is basically you can't sell a solution unless there's a problem. And if there's no problem, you make a problem, bro. So this is what you do if you're evil. And by the way, when I'm saying all this stuff, just like put ethics and morals aside, and then we'll bring it back. So just keep it aside, but then we'll bring it back. So let's just say you were supposed to be selling like a fire alarm door to door. So if you go to like one family's door and you knock on their door and you're just like, hey guys, do you want to buy my fire alarm? They're going to be like, bro, why do we need this fire alarm? We're not going to buy it. There's no fire here. So basically the problem, the fire, is not actually there. So as a result, no one's ever going to buy your fire alarm. Because that's the thing. They think it's like their house is basically never going to be caught on fire. But then if you tell these people, you're just like, Habibi, your neighbor, just last night, their house actually got burned. So do you want to buy my fire alarm now? Then they're going to be like, yeah, bro, give me that fire alarm. So that's the thing. Now, let's just say you're like a very evil person. What you would do is that the night before, you would go to that neighborhood and basically you would pick one house and you would set it on fire. And then the next day, you would go with your fire alarms and basically you'll notice that you'll actually make a bunch more money because every house you go to, they're just like, yes, please sell us this fire alarm. So this is what the elites do. If there's no problem, solution can't be sold. Usually, you have a problem and then you sell a solution. So when there's no problem and they have the solution, what they would do is basically make the problem, create the problem manually, like manufacture the problem, and then as a result, you'll notice that the solution is way easier to sell. Let's look at an example. Let's just say they created like a new medicine. And this medicine is so cheap, bro. It's so cheap. And what they're trying to do is basically take this medicine and sell it to different countries. So then what they would do, and by the way, we're talking fiction, we're not talking real life, bro. But what they would do is that they would create a pandemic, like a worldwide pandemic, and they would especially make sure that this pandemic is all over the news. They want to make sure that the masses are actually in fear of this pandemic. So everywhere you go, you would see people talking about this pandemic. And then they're just like, okay, well, we just created a problem. Now we can actually sell our solution way easier. And then what they would do is go to the same countries and be like, hey, do you want to get these medicines so you can basically give it to your people because your people are dying? And then as a result, those countries, they make all the citizens take this medicine. And it's like, there you go. You just literally use one of the formulas of the elites. Solution, problem. If there's no problem, create a problem. Doesn't matter. You have no morals. You have no ethics. So this is what they actually do. Now, okay, let's just say like the problem is actually there. Because by the way, like sometimes you don't even need to actually create a problem. You'll notice that humans are never actually living without problems. So let's just take, for example, like when you have bad breath, for example. Now, the elites, they know that if they actually fix the problem completely, like again, problem, solution, if the problem is gone, solution is also gone. So if they fix the problem completely, well, they can't be selling the solution anymore. So for example, with the bad breath, it's like you want to fix bad breath, but you don't want to fix it completely. Otherwise, you won't really sell of the solution. You won't really sell the solution. So what they would do is they would basically create the solution is basically a mouthwash that temporarily fixes the bad breath. And then once it fixes it, the bad breath comes back. So the problem is back. Now what you do is you go back to the store, buy more of this mouthwash, and then the cycle keeps going. You don't want to fix the problem. Like the elites don't want to fix the problem. So this is what they're doing. They're always using this formula. And if you use this formula, you'll notice that it's way easier to actually make money. Now you're supposed to be using ethically. Now, by the way, for the bad breath, it's like, what's the actual solution to that? Bro, just take hydrogen peroxide, pour it in like a small cup, like half of it is water, half of it hydrogen peroxide, and just rinse your mouth with it, and you'll notice bad breath just goes away. First of all, it's super cheap, and then second of all, bad breath actually does go away. You don't need to go and buy like all these freaking mouthwashes and all that stuff. You don't need that. And I hope you see, like right now, it's like this exact formula is used anywhere you go. Anywhere, bro. Like the health system, the medical industry, like all that stuff, they're always using this formula. Once the problem is fully gone, like you can't really sell a solution. You can't really profit anymore. So there's no freaking way that they're ever going to actually fix the problem completely. But anyway, so the second principle is basically the enemy. You always have to be talking about the enemy, bro. So this is something that's actually so deep into our brains that even when we were young, we're always like, who's the bad guy and who's the good guy? And the elites know this, so basically they play with this because this is something like so innate within us. So the elites know it's like when there's an enemy, you divide people, and then once people are divided, they basically start putting labels onto themselves, and then you're able to actually use these labels that they put on themselves and control them. So for example, it's like Real Madrid and Barcelona. Like both of these are fighting against each other, so you can sell these two teams something. Or for example, like the vaccinated against like the non-vaccinated. Or it's like the carnivores against the vegans. Or for example, it's like the alpha men against the beta men. Once you divide people like that and you actually make them think that there's an actual enemy, then they're way easier to actually control. And what's funny, you'll notice is like both sides actually want the same thing, but they can't really realize that because they're so divided. And what's funny is that I remember Tej Dosa, he quoted some guy saying he's like, the enemy is not one another. The enemy is the one who programmed you to believe the enemy was your own brother. It basically rhymes. Once again, if it rhymes, it's true. It's just powerful stuff though, man. But it's like, okay, once you actually put an enemy into the equation, it's way easier to persuade and control people. How do you actually use that in your own marketing or like in your own advantage to make money? Well, it's funny because when you look at this exact tweet right here, and this is just one of many, you would see that Tate is always like they. So he himself is actually painting the enemy for you. Like sometimes people even do this even with good intentions. So when Tate is basically talking about, oh, they're going to ruin your life, they're going to destroy you, they're going to do this and do that, what you're going to do is now you're on Tate's team, so you're always like, bro, I'm with Tate, I'm basically a Tate fan, and whatever Tate sells, you go and buy. And sometimes we're even like, bro, the enemy is basically the big pharma. That's like, those pharmaceutical companies, they're always trying to make you unhealthy, and they're always trying to make you like take your money and stuff like that. Do you want to buy my super duper natural product, bro? It's always like that. And sometimes the enemy is the one who they took our job, bro. So again, when you include an enemy, it's so much easier to sell something. But by the way, for your own advantage, whenever you see this thing is actually happening, when you see there's like division, where it's like you know that these people are talking about an enemy and people are being divided, the best thing to do is to stay neutral. Don't side with any of them, because as soon as you start siding with one of them, that's when you're actually playing their game. You're in their game right now. They're basically controlling you. What's going to happen is you'll basically start putting labels onto yourself, and you start to forget who your true nature is. And by the way, the Quran says it's like whoever forgets Allah, Allah will give them a depressed life. That's why everybody is in depression. They're always living a depressed life because they forgot who they truly are, because they started putting all these labels onto themselves, so they don't even know who they actually are anymore. Those labels basically put smoke in your identity, and you forget like you're actually this powerful being that can literally do anything. But anyway, the last principle is that everything in life is a negotiation. This is actually a statement I got from an ad. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen it, but it's actually so true. Everything in life is a negotiation, and the elites know that. By the way, you do realize this voice in your head that always tries to negotiate with you. So it's like you wake up from bed and like you know you have to go to the gym, but you're just like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym today, I'm pretty lazy. That voice in your head is actually Satan himself, is the devil himself. The devil's always trying to negotiate with you to give you the easier option. So what the elites do is that they know this, so what they do is they always try to offer you the easy option. So that is why something like porn, for example, it's so easy to get. So it's like, what's the voice in your head that tells you to go and watch porn? You'll see like all these influencers on social media, they're created in such a way where all they want to do is just tell you to go and do this stuff. So it's like porn is like the product, and then it's like all these influencers that are putting themselves naked on social media, they're like the marketing. They're the ones that are actually influencing you. It's the voice in your head. That's what actually creates the voice in your head. So the persuasion is so good. These people are always like being shown naked and stuff like that. And what that results is that you're just going to get the product, which is porn. Or for example, like drugs, for example. Well, drugs is like the product, But it's like, what's the marketing? It's all those freaking songs, the hip hop songs. You listen to all these hip hop songs, and then it's like, the drugs become easy to go and attain. Or for example, when you eat like bad fast food, well, bro, like every single where you go, there is always fast food. McDonald's is basically everywhere. So the product is fast food, bad food that actually ruins you. And the marketing is just McDonald's is everywhere. So us marketers, we basically know this, which is try to make the product as easy as possible and then use marketing to promote this product. And that's why you see like in copywriting, we're always like, Habibi, you gotta mention that this thing is like super easy, it's so safe, it's like so amazing, and you just want to get it. And this is what they all do. This is what the elites actually do. And even for example, like alcohol. Like people now go to college and it's like all their friends are basically like consuming alcohol. And it's like you go to a party, it's so much like it's so easily available. So it's like the colleges, the parties is the marketing, and alcohol is like the product that you're being sold to. So what's sad is that all these products that the elites, you could say, use, it's all things that actually ruin your life. Like porn destroys you, alcohol destroys you, like drugs, for example, they just destroy you. So just realize how they're actually marketing these things and how they're making you like go and buy them or making you go and consume them. Learn what those tactics are and then use it for yourself. Like Tate right now is doing literally the same thing for his like the real world. He's just like, look at how many students are basically in my course. Look at how many students are getting success from my course. And then look at how easy these people are getting these results. There's like teenagers and stuff like that who are getting the same results that you want. So it's like the marketing is there, which is making it seem like it's super easy and stuff like that. And the product is just like the course. Just buy my course. Like once you buy this course, then you get the results immediately. It's like that. So once again, the elites know this and the elites use this. So what I'm trying to say, like this whole point of this whole video is just so that you get awareness of what the elites do, and then you need to actually start doing these things in a good way. Because again, these tactics, there isn't like a halal tactic or like an ethical tactic. Yeah, obviously there is, like don't go and like burn people's houses and stuff like that, but just learn the formulas. Problems and the solution. There's no problem, there's no solution. An enemy, if there's no enemy, people are not easily controllable. And the last one is just that in order for people to actually get your offer, which is like alcohol, porn, whatever, like the course and stuff like that, you need good marketing. So now that you know all these things, you need to be using these things ethically to actually benefit people and benefit yourself as well. Like, why not? This is the game. Like, this is literally the game. There's no other like principles that you need to know. And by the way, like I do the same thing with you right now. Like I'm telling you, it's like, oh, these are the elites. They're using these things to control you. Elites are the enemy. And there you go. It's like, in a way, I just divided us. And now you're basically someone who listens to me and not listens to the elite. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like, these are the buttons. You need to know how to actually press these buttons. And by the way, you also need to like be aware of what's happening in your brain too, like the thoughts. It's like, what are these like irresistible offers that happen to your brain where it's like negotiations start happening here and then you basically pick the easier one? Like, just be aware of what those things are. Like, for example, if you just wake up, like, for example, at 6 a.m. and you're supposed to go and pray the morning prayer, the Fajr prayer as a Muslim, but then you decide to just sleep, like, just realize, like, why did I decide to go and sleep? And who told me to go and sleep? And why did I go to sleep? And how did I freaking even go to sleep? Like, prayer is way better than sleep, so why did I choose sleep? Like, I literally picked the worst option. Why is that? And the reason is just because it's so easy. It's so easy and it's so comfortable. Like, that's such an irresistible offer. So literally just having like an awareness of this actually gives you power. And then also just realize, like, where are all these ideas coming from? Like, if you're a vegan, like, why are you so against like the carnivore? You do know like both are trying to be healthy. So why are you so against like the carnivore? And why are you even labeling yourself as like a carnivore or like a vegan? It makes no sense. That's not who you truly are. And then also, when you notice there's actually fear in your heart, like, once again, like, where did that fear come from? Fear is not supposed to be like something natural. It's not supposed to be something within the heart. The heart, its natural state, is supposed to be love. So when you do notice there's actual fear in the heart, then it's definitely something that actually you've listened to or you heard that took you away from your real self. But anyway, man, I hope this video was helpful. Like, Habibi, just awareness of this is super powerful.